Let's take a look at creating and organizing our own views inside a SmartSuite. So in SmartSuite, I'm in a solution right now, and we've got the ability to interact with existing views, but we can create our own as well. Now, anytime we create a new app, there's automatically a grid view that's created for us, and it has some fields that are automatically created as well. So there's always at least a grid view, but we can create our own. So let's take a look at our projects here. And in our projects, I'm just using a solution template. We've got a number of different views already available for us. And we can choose from existing views. So right now we've got grid views. We've got a dashboard, which is a type of view. We've got a card view. Let's just take a look at what options we have. So right now you can see we've got public views and we have private views. Private views allow you to configure and tailor the data for yourself, and you don't really have to worry about the rest of the team seeing your view of the data. You can make whatever changes you want. Public views are going to be accessible by the rest of your team who's utilizing the solution. Now, one of the things with these public views is you've got the ability to change and configure and make this public view so that it's locked. So if you don't want people changing the filtering and messing around with your settings, and you say, hey, here's our list of current projects, and we don't want people to change that, you can lock it, even though it's public. But in this case, let's talk a little bit about the different types of views we have. You can see a number of them here. Let's explore those view types and display them. So our grid view, again, is the standard one that we're used to seeing with lines, kind of like a spreadsheet. We've got our Kanban. This is great for being able to have cards that we drag between different statuses. We've got a timeline, which is nice for being able to look at horizontal data with dates. We've got charts and dashboards. We can collect information from outside participants in a form. We've got a map view where we can view data geographically on a map, and a calendar as well. So lots of different choices to choose from. We could probably spend all day getting into the nuances of each, but know that all of those views have the same underlying data. So if you have a map, it's going to use a location or address field that you have for that particular account that you're looking at. And that's not going to change even though you're switching between different views. So in this case, let's create a new grid view for ourselves. But I want to show you something real quick. If we create a new grid view just from scratch, and I'll just call it grid view, notice how it doesn't have any of the fields on it. And that works well if you want to totally create something from scratch and you say, I'm going to enable all the fields that I want to be able to see. But that can feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes. You might want to start from something that already exists. So we could take this projects by stage and we could click and we could actually duplicate that view. So now maybe we want to call it our new projects view, and we duplicate that. And now we can make the changes that we want. So we could say, you know what, I actually want to remove some of our billing data on this, and that's going to remove the fields here. And that's going to do it without worrying about messing with the projects by stage. We've now duplicated this and we can make the changes that we want to. I've turned this into a private view here. Now, other things that we can do besides changing the fields that display, we can also, drag and reconfigure where this information is. So maybe we want it to appear in a different order. And that's things that we can do through this fields to display as well. We could click and drag it up, and that's going to change the display order of those fields as well. We can also change the way that we sort the information here. Now I've got a group by. I'm just going to take this off so you can better see the sorting for this. So let's go ahead and change the sort. And rather than go by name, I want to go by the progress. So I'll find progress on here. And let's look the furthest along projects. We can see our 100. And now we have this sorted the way we want. We could apply multiple sorts as well. We could filter this. So maybe we want to say if the stage is not complete, because if the project's already done, why do we want to take a look at that? So we could filter out projects that we don't want to be able to see in the view. We can group this. Before, you saw the default grouping that it had, and we can have multiple layers of grouping. In this case, maybe we want to group that by the stage, or we could group it by the account for our projects. And now you can see how those records are grouped underneath that header there. These can be closed and expanded as you see fit. We can also add a spotlight for some coloration to highlight important records. So we have this stoplight status here. Maybe we want to color based on that. So let's look for stoplight status. And red is like, uh-oh, we have an issue with our project. It's blocking things. So let's go ahead and change that to red as well. And now if you look at that grid view, you can see that it has that red color, which isn't too in your face, but highlights enough that there's some kind of issue with that project. From here, we're able to configure the row size. If we have more data that we need to be able to see, we could make this larger, or we could auto size it, or we could keep it nice and compact here. We've got the ability to find records and search for some information. And when we search, that's going to highlight. You can see it'll tab through like you'd be doing with a spreadsheet to find your information. Know that this pairs really well with the power search functionality if you want to be able to find records as well. And we've got the ability to share this data as well to make it externally visible by other folks that aren't users inside of SmartSuite. One of the things I really recommend doing if you're on the Pro or Enterprise plan is organizing this with the use of folders. So you can create a new folder. We could call this one Portfolio Management. And this gives us that ability to be able to drag and drop and put the different views in here. So for example, we have one for reporting. Maybe I want to drop my project dashboard in here. And so now you can think of these just as folders, and we could collapse them, make it much easier to be able to interact with our data, because probably we don't need to have 50 active views that we're going to see. Instead, we can group these in our folders. You can get started with SmartSuite's views by finding the right solution for you, opening that, opening up the app that you're looking at, and from here, you can create new views to configure based off of the needs of your users.